In the world of special operations, there are a few units you almost never hear about. The Army's 75th Ranger Regiment works in the shadows, attacking fast, surgically, with deadly results. They're America's go-to force for direct action raids around the world.
It's the last stretch! Let's go, man!
But you won't see them in the headlines.
We're expected to be able to conduct a lot of operations that have a big impact on the enemy, and we've chosen not to advertise a lot of what we're doing, quite honestly.
The Rangers are the only regiment in the U.S. arsenal ready to strike anywhere on the planet in 18 hours or less. But only a certain breed of man can become a Ranger.
Go, go, go!
We're very careful about who it is that we select.
To be a part of that select group would be the world to me.
Probably gonna get my butt kicked a lot.
There's nothing else I'd rather be than a Ranger.
The Ranger Assessment and Selection Program, better known as RASP, is 8 weeks of soul-crushing punishment. It will weed out anyone who can't hack it.
They put us through hell here, but for some odd reason, yeah, I enjoy it.
To become a Ranger, you have to go to hell and back. The Army's 75th Ranger Regiment consists of 3,500 Special Operations soldiers.
Hey, let's go, Fred! Let's go!
These men stand ready to be deployed anywhere on Earth at a moment's notice. The regiment averages 2,500 combat raids per year, usually to capture high-value targets in the most hostile environments in the world.
The Rangers are elite special operations infantry. They perform direct action raids, which is our most important mission.
Don't confuse the 75th Ranger Regiment with the Army's Ranger School. Only the 75th Rangers are special operations soldiers. The regiment requires soldiers capable of split-second thinking, extreme focus, and nearly superhuman endurance.
Get the people out of the middle! Get the people out of the middle!
Traits critical for the lightning-fast raids they specialize in.
Security team up front! Go, go, go!
The Ranger Assessment and Selection Program, known as RASP, is where they find these men. Day 1. 114 soldiers believe they have what it takes to join the military elite. They've come from all over the U.S. to Fort Benning, Georgia, to prove it. David Porter is 34, from San Diego, California. He started in finance and earned an MBA, but then realized an office job wasn't for him.
I have a wife and 2 daughters. I know they're at home probably with little Ranger shirts on right now, so they're kind of my cheerleaders. A little bit of pain now is going to pay off later for not only myself, but my family as well.
Mario Benales is 27. He was a successful auto salesman in Laredo, Texas, but he decided he wants a more fulfilling career. This is his second attempt to make it through RASP.
I was already dropped once from this course. I said, there's no way. I signed up to the Army to be this. This is what I want to be. This is what I'll fight for. And I'll do it as many times as I have to. But this is what I want.
Dominic Hassenfratz is 18. He's an Army brat and a computer whiz from O'Fallon, Washington.
My dad is my biggest inspiration. I can't ever look at my dad and be like, I failed. At the end of this, my dad's gonna be there and he's gonna be telling me he's so proud of me. And it's gonna be all worth it.
After a week of orientation, the RASP course is about to start hurting. Day 8 starts before dawn. All 114 candidates of Class 5-12 form up in the barracks courtyard.
Your task is going to conduct a 12-mile road march. You need to be able to complete the road march in 3 hours or faster. Are there any questions on the task condition standards? Yes, sir. Let's go.
They head out, carrying 50 pounds each.
Begin.
They're headed to Cole Range, a 2,000-acre training area, famous for some of the most intense training in the military.
No talking, right? I know there's no talking because I briefed it. Quit dragging your feet, man. Yeah, look at your watch. Odds are you're behind.
Most reach Cole Range in less than 3 hours. They're exhausted, but this is just the beginning.
Gotta embrace the suck. There's only one way to get to the regiment. Yeah. That's through this. Get that tambourine.
They'll spend the next week here, on their feet 20 or more hours a day, non-stop.
Benales, Sergeant. Benales.
The men don't know exactly what will happen at Cole Range.
Porter, Sergeant.
But they do know it's designed to test every soldier's breaking point.
You guys have 3 minutes. Go.
They're divided into 30-man platoons and handed their first mission.
Okay, platoon sergeants, come with me. First station's gonna be over here. The second station's gonna be over here. It does not matter which station you go to first, as long as you go as a platoon to each station.
They must report to 2 locations as a team. They'll cover roughly 4 miles. Easy, if there weren't some surprises in store. Along the way, the instructors will add some grueling problems to see how the platoon copes with adversity.
Begin. 1 minute to start moving out of here.
Hey, what's the game plan?
Hey, we gotta make it to Yankee Road.
Private Abel is placed in charge of 1st Platoon.
We gotta go back to that main road and then back. Raj? There's a certain amount of unknown about the course, so there's always gonna be a certain level of anxiousness to it. But, I mean, I feel like I'm prepared for whatever comes.
Come on, let's go. If you're not helping out your Ranger buddy, start filing out. You don't need this guy.
You want to get out of here?
Come on. Come on, guys. We gotta pick it up.
They reach their first location in an impressive 30 minutes, but platoon leader Abel is suddenly killed off.
Hey, platoon sergeant, you're down. You're a casualty.
The cold reality is, Rangers must carry on if a leader is killed in combat.
Get his ruck off, get his ruck off.
Over left side.
With no clear chain of command, David Porter from San Diego jumps in and starts to organize the platoon.
Get over here on the body now. Pick him up and get going. Go, go, go. Pick him up now.
Nobody wants to, but everybody has to. Let's go. Tighten him up. It is up to your
They quickly secure the wounded and move off to their next objective, along with some new cargo. 10 40-pound water cans. It doesn't take long for the dead weight to drag them down.
Frank, look up.
There's no precise time limit for this event, but teams that come in first will get some rest before the next event. Those who come in last might not sleep at all.
Everybody's tired, they're exhausted, their feet hurt, and the individuality that they have is not going to apply here. They have to work as a team in order to succeed.
Guys! Oh, come on.
It's not so much your body, your arms, your chest, it's your feet. Your feet are just screaming out for, stops, get off of me, get off of me.
After another mile, the platoon is barely holding it together. The stronger members are carrying the brunt of the weight,
Help out! Right?
while others hang off to the side for an easy ride. That won't fly for long. What the instructors are really looking for is a soldier who can push past physical hardship, something the job demands.
These guys are in phenomenal physical condition, and they have to be, because you don't always know where you're going to go or the environment that you're going to operate in. It could be the desert, it could be the jungle, but the reality is that physically you've got to be able to perform.
And the challenge is not only physical. The regiment's psychologists evaluate each man under pressure. They're looking for certain traits that only some soldiers are born with.
We have a lot of born and bred, bright individuals around here who process their environment very, very quickly and naturally can understand when this hits the fan, how am I going to be able to live through that and get to the other side. And you can't teach a lot of that. That's why we weed these guys out over the course of time, because we just can't teach it.
All right, first platoon! Jump on a log!
They reach their second objective, but the platoon is met with agony, not reward. 30 exhausted men now have to move 2 800-pound logs over 2 miles, all the way back to base.
That's heavy, bro. Oh, man. Too tough? Hey, can you... Holy guys, come on.
Several groups grab logs and take off without a plan.
Shut up, stop complaining, and walk.
If the platoon spreads out, they can no longer operate as a team. Water cans and bodies are being left behind.
Get him up to our shoulders. I don't know if we should do that.
No, it's hard to switch out.
Yeah, it's like impossible.
First platoon! You're not on a log. Get over here on the body. Get going. Go, 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 go. Ah!
We've got a guy, he's new. We want to see him struggling right now, but we want to see him, the next time that he's put in that position, did he learn from that?
Keep going straight. Oh, God.
I can't either.
Oh, come on.
After an hour of carrying more than 3,000 pounds, Porter's team is in shambles.
Watch his head.
Watch out!
What are you doing, Jack? Get up here. Pick him up.
As night approaches, exhaustion gives way to panic. And in special operations, panic gets people hurt. 114 soldiers are in the second week of RASP, or Ranger Assessment and Selection Program. They're struggling through an agonizing team event designed to maximize strain and frustration.
Hey, someone up here. Oh, God.
It's 7 p.m., and the men have been going full steam since before dawn. Even the strongest are suffering, and they have no idea when it will end.
Where they don't know what's going to happen. Not knowing what's going to happen tomorrow, not knowing what's going to happen in 5 minutes from now. I mean, that stress level is spiking. It's through the roof. So we can see it in a controlled environment and extrapolate that to real world and real war.
It's all on me. It's all on my luck. Dude, I back off or something then. Slouch down.
Hey, we need guys.
I've blocked my knees. I've blocked my knees. It's all on me. Someone come help me.
Character traits, good, bad, and ugly, are on full display, and the instructors notice everything.
On all fours over here. What do you reach your limit?
Negative, Sergeant.
Precise criteria for selection into the 75th Regiment is known only by the instructors. They constantly take stock of every candidate, but nobody will learn their fate until the very last day of the 8-week course.
They're doing extremely horrible. They're just a bunch of individuals that need to start realizing that Ranger Battalion only works effectively when they work as a team. Dead. Did I not say you were dead?
And things are only getting worse.
Did I not say you were dead? Then why are you moving?
Several soldiers are spotted drifting away from their team and are killed off by the instructors. Now, there's more work and fewer men to do it.
You're a casualty, you're dead, you don't talk, you don't move. If they don't figure out you're in their platoon, guess who gets left behind? Don't talk to anybody.
All right, are you a casualty? This guy is, right?
Casualties are the ones laying down, and they're also dead, so they can't talk. So don't ask them if they're a casualty.
1, 2 casualties. Are we counting anymore? Are we counting anymore? We need 4 people on each log.
Porter's MBA is little help here. He fights through it, but his men are shutting down fast. The instructors are pushing hard, but for good reason. They have no time to waste. Navy SEALs and Green Berets train soldiers for years before they hit combat. Not here. If you pass this 8-week course, you'll go directly to war as a special operations soldier. It's a shockingly short period of time to select and train elite soldiers.
Go, it's the last stretch!
But if they have the right men to work with, it can be done.
Somebody go get casualty. Tell them we got somebody's already on the way.
Just a few yards from the finish, a soldier drops from heat exhaustion.
You good?
Stop.
He's quickly rushed to the medic for evaluation. It's not uncommon to push till you can push no more at cold range. But losing focus here has consequences. 800-pound logs are carelessly rolled off backpacks, potentially exposing the soldiers to serious pain.
About 4 of us were bringing the log back into the middle of the pit. We decided to roll it off of our backs to put it down. And my buddy's weapon on the side of me rolled the log back, and it just straight slit the finger, I guess.
There are no live bullets or enemy out here, but thinking as an individual can spell disaster. Out here, it's a split eye. In battle, it could prove fatal.
Everybody's hyped up. Everybody's tired. You know, we're kind of running ourselves ragged, so it's going to happen. We just got to get everybody to calm down, think about what they're doing.
Throughout the entire event so far, their teamwork was pretty shoddy at best. I think they finally figured out that teamwork is the only way to get this done.
These soldiers will be expected to conduct highly coordinated assaults on heavily armed targets in just a few short months. Teamwork is the key to staying alive in combat.
think it started to click for everybody that, you know, we weren't going to be able to do this if we weren't going to work as a team.
The guys went down, and we had to move them out for over a mile. Alongside with that, we had to carry water jugs, huge logs, and at the same time trying to maintain some sort of tactical structure while we're moving. It was by far the hardest thing we've done since we started this course.
Hey, Roger,
we pulled through. We were the first to platoon in here, so we got it done.
They make it, but there's no rest for the weary at Cole Range.
Your last name?
Helmet Sergeant.
The men have now been up and moving for almost 21 hours straight. The class forms up for a nighttime land navigation test. This time, there are no teams. It's every man for himself, and he better follow the rules.
Each candidate will use his protractor map and compass to navigate to each point.
Each soldier is given several coordinates on a map. They must use a compass to find these points. It's a straightforward test, made grueling by fatigue and disorientation. The temptation to cheat or steal a few moments' rest will cross everyone's mind.
You guys need to stay awake. Are there any questions?
Hey, sir.
Go ahead and line up. They cannot work with anybody else. This is strictly an individual event we're expecting. And they can go out there, push through, and be able to at least get 3 out of 5 points.
To make matters worse, there is no moon tonight. It's pitch black, and a heavy thunderstorm is moving in. Sergeant Martinez gives the men a 1-hour head start. Then, dressed like a student, he heads into the woods in search of cheaters. And he is not alone. The Ranger cadre fan out across the Georgia woods, armed with night vision and heat-sensing scopes.
What they don't know is that there's cadre all over this place. We'll end up catching a lot of them for integrity violations.
For the 75th Regiment, integrity is everything. Since Rangers trust their lives to each other in combat, a soldier who's not 100% trustworthy is a deadly hazard.
How many points you got?
Any student planning to cheat tonight is in for a rude awakening.
Straight up integrity violation for just sleeping.
I was sleeping, sir?
Yes, you were. That's right. Try it.
Give me your name tapes. Go ahead. Straight back.
Day 9 of the Ranger Assessment and Selection Program. 114 soldiers are spread out in the dark woods of Fort Benning, Georgia, for a punishing land navigation test.
It's been raining on them for about an hour and a half now. The rain just lightened up a bit, so I'm going to go in there.
Instructors are on the hunt, looking for any student breaking the rules. Get caught, and it could cost your career as a Special Operations Ranger.
I'll probably spark up a conversation with a couple guys out there, and if they talk back and we exchange points and all that, you know, that's an obvious integrity violation.
The men have spent nearly 24 hours enduring one man-breaking event after another. They've eaten little and slept less. Now they're wet, cold, and most are utterly lost in the woods. The instructors want to know how they cope when they think no one is watching.
I see that guy over there. I don't think he's going to go anywhere.
Instructor Martinez spots a soldier looking confused by the side of the road. He's lost his weapon.
I can't remember what tree I dropped it at.
Another instructor emerges from the trees.
Did you tell Sergeant Martinez that you were stopped to pee? Roger, Sergeant. Bull. I did pee, Sergeant. Really? I've been staring at you for 15 minutes. You were sitting next to a tree, just standing at the road. I crept up on you, took it without you knowing, and backed up. That could be another possibility.
What do you think? Who's right? You right or the cadre right?
Cadre is right. And my weapon now.
Head back to Bachler.
Sergeant Martinez moves deeper into the woods, where he spots another candidate approaching.
How many points you got? That guy did absolutely the right thing he's supposed to do. They usually respond. This is actually the first one tonight that hasn't responded, which is exactly what we told him to do. He has his mind right now in the right place where it should be. They're reaching their exhaustion point, and they have no idea really what's going on.
Martinez observes a student sitting down, motionless. He's glowing like a lantern through the thermal imaging scope.
Hey, how many points did you find? 0. Hey, you can go to sleep and I'll guard for the next 20 minutes. And then I'll wake you up and I'll go to sleep for 20 minutes. What is this? This is my name. Sorry, Martinez. What the
Stand up. How many points you find? 0 points. What do you think you're gonna do the rest of the night? Stop right now. Before you continue bullshitting your way, tell me exactly what you were planning on doing. You were gonna sleep here the rest of the night. You got 0 points. Don't say no again. You got 0 points. You got 1.5 hours left, and we've been staring at you for a while now. You're just a little over your head.
Sorry if I get another shot.
As in frats, continue land nabbing.
I'm sorry.
Their actions today is going to weigh heavily against them. This stuff, we absolutely do not take it lightly at any time. This unit is built on team, on trust. It's just a lot that's riding on this right now.
The clock is up on tonight's land navigation test. Soldiers filter in and report their failure or success.
I think you might be the one who found the most points tonight.
Good job, Stud.
You want this, huh?
Roger, Sergeant.
That's good. This is the output that I need.
Roger, Sergeant.
You better motivate your classmates.
Roger, Sergeant.
Move out. You're looking pretty fresh right now. You did not really put out at all. Not one drop of sweat in your face. You did not try out there.
It was so muddy out there. It was nightmarish. So I hear some people did pretty well, but myself, I was just defeated out there. But like I said, tomorrow's another day, so get a couple hours of sleep, maybe if we're lucky, and up and on it again. So
You know, not every night, not every day's gonna be a good day, but we gotta keep on pushing. So, you know, it's like a mixed emotions. Everybody's drained, but we want to get this done.
All 114 candidates have one more night to try to rack up points on the land nav course. But as RASP progresses, fatigue takes an even greater toll.
Your training is over for tonight.
Those who were caught cheating can continue, but they won't know whether the honor violations have already cost them their chance of becoming a Ranger.
Move out.
Just made myself look like a total idiot in front of the cadre, which weighed down on me. And I know it's going to be a part of that. It's going to be in that part where they assess me and decide whether or not I deserve to go on.
They don't know what the cadre is actually looking for or looking at with them. It's just that added level of stress. What do I do? And what am I doing? Is it right? Is it wrong? And is a guy going to freeze up because what he thinks he's doing is wrong?
The following day is just going to continue getting progressively worse. We understand this is not meant for everybody. So right now, if you want to go ahead and voluntarily withdraw, I want you to fall out of the formation and fall over by the talk shed.
Fearing they've made a fatal mistake, Dominic Hassenfratz from O'Fallon, Washington, and 7 others removed themselves from the course.
Is that it? You guys didn't want to do this anymore?
Roger,
Not meant for you?
Roger,
Go ahead, put your bucks down.
The class is now down to 106 men from the original 114. The others, busted for violations, opt to stay in.
Let's go.
It's possible they'll spend the next 6 weeks getting physically and emotionally crushed for absolutely nothing.
You guys failed this task miserably. These guys over here, you guys are not going to make it. I guarantee it.
5 a.m., day 10 of the Ranger Assessment and Selection Program. Morning just brings hell in a different form to the remaining 106 candidates. After 4 hours of sleep, it's a 2.5-mile buddy run. The instructors never fail to take note of who's out front and who's pulling up the rear.
We don't want guys to just go out there and just jog it slowly. We want guys to go out there and give it all they have.
Oh, don't stop. Oh, don't stop. Let's go. Let's go, Barry. I know it hurts. We're all hurting, man. Let's go.
You got Benales?
Roger, Sergeant.
You guys start forming up over here to my left by the trees. Over here to my left by the trees.
No deadline was given for the buddy run, but as teams come in, Sergeant Martinez separates the fast from the not so fast.
Form it up over here to my left. Right there, form it up. If you guys haven't figured it out, this is the group to beat right here. These are the ones. These guys over here, that's how many guys are probably not gonna make it by the end of phase 1. That is the percentage. You think you're a pre-chosen?
Negative, Tom.
It's not the way it works, if that's what you think. Those are gonna be the guys holding you back. I guarantee it, I promise it. Are there any questions?
Negative, Sergeant.
Day 12. RASP is not just a place to knock soldiers down and see who gets back up. Between physical fitness and teamwork tests, the instructors start to instill the fundamentals of direct action combat. If you make it into the 75th, you will be in close contact with enemy forces.
This class right now, when they graduate here in about 6 weeks, they can be in combat in as early as 2 to 3 weeks after they go to the unit. Some might deploy even sooner than that. I mean, they'll get to their unit, they can be on a plane the following week going off to combat. So it's extremely real.
Everybody understand that?
The instructors have all come straight from war zones where they engage the enemy daily.
How many cadre here you think has never been in combat?
None, Sergeant.
How many cadre here you think has been real firefights against real enemies?
All of them.
Whatever we tell you, it's because we had real target feedback overseas. Be adaptive. Be adaptive. I don't need a robot out here. It just gets up, moves, gets down, screw it. I want a guy who has violence of action and can deliver some death. Are we good?
Strike Force size makes the 75th Ranger Regiment unique. Most special operations forces rely on teams of 10 to 12 men working alone. But the Rangers can deploy hundreds of elite soldiers on a single raid. The ability to strike with overwhelming force enables Rangers to take over large targets such as airfields or heavily defended compounds.
Run, not an option.
Learning the airtight coordination necessary for such raids starts at RASP.
You got 2 minutes to be in the order of movement.
After detailed instruction, this 12-man squad is given the basic task of assaulting a bunker.
You're wide out in the open. You better move quick. You guys just gonna stand up, walk, and shoot at a bunker? Are you crazy?
There's no fog of war today. They face an open field in broad daylight with no return fire.
You're dead.
But for novices,
You're dead.
It's no easy task. They must keep track of every other soldier's movements to prevent casualties by friendly fire.
They're gonna start realizing, okay, I'm being shot at right now. I need to be able to defeat that enemy force before he gets me first. And they start really learning about how to work as a team.
The instructor spots soldiers in the rear firing directly into the men in front. He designates the front soldiers as killed in action.
You're dead. Yeah, you're dead. You're both dead. Die.
With no awareness of who's moving where, it doesn't take long for the entire assault team to get taken out.
Dead. You're dead. So I'm gonna assault this bunker.
Only the machine gunner is left to complete the mission.
I'm up, he sees me, I'm down.
He advances on the bunker in perfect form. But he makes one critical mistake. Just as he reaches the enemy bunker, he runs out of ammo.
What happened?
Out of ammo, Sergeant.
Why are you out of ammo?
Covering my buddies too much, Sergeant.
You just left him up there by himself, or you stayed back there and shot right past him. He was in front of the bunker, you were still shooting at the bunker, weren't you?
It's only failure, I think, if you don't learn from it. You gotta get up, dust yourself off, and say, you know what? That was a learning experience. Let's move forward and try this again.
Razor-sharp synchronization is central to the 75th's mission. The regiment keeps one battalion on high alert at all times. Rangers take pride in the fact that they can be on the ground anywhere in 18 hours or less, often a lot less. The key to response time is the airborne operation. 106 men load up on a C-17 for their first jump with the regiment.
Go, go, go!
They're about to find out. They're jumping out of the pan and into the fire. It's week 4 of RASP. The 106 remaining candidates literally hit the ground running. They're headed straight for an obstacle course designed to get their heart rates up.
You guys can run faster than that. Come on.
Candidates David Porter and Andrew Robertson go first.
Get over that wall. You guys are good. Two of you. Two of you, one wall. Let's think about it.
Over the past 2 weeks, they've trained as Ranger first responders. It's finally time to put their training to the test. Suddenly, they confront a soldier posing as a badly injured Ranger.
Pressure on it. Pressure on his feet.
Tourniquet's on.
All right, we got to move 200 meters into the wood line. Let's go. Hurry up.
The team has 10 minutes to get the wounded man past all obstacles to the medevac site while performing life-saving procedures.
We're putting them through the obstacle course before they do it, so their heart's going to be racing just like the infield on a target. It just gives them the insight, the practice of before I actually do it in combat on a real live casualty. I've done it in a stressful situation. They know they're getting graded and they know they're getting critiqued.
Again, you guys have 5 minutes till the bird gets here.
Recent wars have taught the Army that quick medical response saves lives in combat. It's a critical skill for every Ranger.
Set it right down when I start working on it. I'll pick them up and stuff.
Let's go. Patient's not responding.
Distracted by fatigue and stress, Porter and Robertson fumble with the IV needle.
What are you doing?
Just put that on there and that's gonna stop bleeding.
All right, you got 1 minute.
Throw everything back. Everything's out. We got 30 seconds. Go. Go. Go.
5, 4, 3, 2, 1. Stop.
Stop. 1, 2, 3, down.
We didn't get a blood pressure? That's not important?
Consumed with the medical procedures, Porter left his weapon behind.
Why would you do that?
I stepped away from it to walk around the patient. I should have brought it with me, Sergeant.
Kneel on it so it gets annoying on your knee and you know it's there.
Roger,
that's something you don't want to lose.
When you're pushed and your heart's pumping and everything's going crazy, I found myself just rushing into everything, and that was a problem for me. I don't know about for you.
I sucked. I'm a medic. I'm supposed to be better than this.
They're about to get more practice whether they like it or not. Their platoon heads out on patrol, and they're hit with wave after wave of ambushes for almost 16 hours. They power through to the finish. Now, they've completed phase 1 of RASP.
Stop! 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 You guys failed this task miserably. Thank you very much for your service, but you might not be needed any longer. But I'll tell you what, we'll let you go on to phase 2 just to make sure we don't need you.
106 out of the original 114 soldiers are still struggling through the RASP course. Not a single one of them knows where he stands.
There's always that, where am I? Do they have a little secret list in the background or something like that? You just never know. I know everybody's feeling the same way, whether they want to say it or not. Nobody's been officially selected yet.
Phase 2 of RASP teaches the specific skills of a Special Operations Ranger, such as working in the dark. "95% of the combat raids conducted by the 75th Regiment happen at night. Teams must move under live fire through complex structures to capture an enemy. Night raids are extremely dangerous, but with night vision technology, darkness actually gives the Rangers an edge.
Go, go, go!
Week 5 of RASP. To get the candidates used to working in the dark, each man is equipped with state-of-the-art night vision optics.
A lot of the missions to do at night, you have to be able to function completely under night vision devices. You can't use any kind of lights overseas, because then your enemy knows where you're at.
Ranger candidates have to train their brains to interpret the images.
If it seems like it's far away or it seems it's too close, you can't tell, which goes back to your depth perception. So there's a hole, you don't know how deep that hole is.
The class heads out in a convoy, practicing driving in their high-tech equipment.
Turn them back to the left. Turn back left. Okay, now go down the hill.
After an hour, the men get a dose of the reality of war.
The man in the back behind me. You're a gunshot wound to the chest. You got a sucking chest wound. Driver's side back. You're a gunshot wound to the right leg and you're in shock, okay? It's gonna get very loud very quickly here. Get out, let's go!
The situation has changed. A roadside bomb has hit a Humvee.
That vehicle just got hit by an IED. That vehicle's on fire. You might want to get him out. Let's go!
2 wounded men need help. Private Oshner must now use his night optics to read coordinates and to call in a helicopter.
Big dog 75.50.
75.70.
50.
Line 2, big dog.
How about a correction?
Correction.
Even with infrared lights, he's unable to see and work the radio.
75.50. Fire. Next one.
Time time is wasted.
Next one! You call one now. Hurry up!
Oshner is immediately replaced by another student.
Let's stop this big dog. Line 1. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. Break.
He works through it. Medevac is on the way. The helicopters evacuate the wounded. By now, every candidate has made mistakes, and no one knows if they'll make Ranger or not. There are only 2 weeks of testing left at RASP. It's time for live ammo and live explosives. Make one wrong move now, and you're done for. Week 6 of RASP is spent on the shooting range, making sure every Ranger is a master of his weapons. Here, they quickly learn the skills of advanced shooting. But being a good shot won't matter if they can't get to the enemy. Rangers have to be able to remove any barriers between themselves and their target. Week 7 of RASP is spent learning how to get through any obstacle.
Or a bigger, more robust material that you're going to have to come up against.
It's the final days of the course and the final chance to prove themselves.
Getting close to the end, you can see the light at the end of the tunnel. But you just never know. Every day, you know, when you're dealing with weapons and things like that, you can have a negligent discharge or something like that, and you're done.
Getting through doors is not as simple as it sounds. Every door is different, and the Rangers always need to consider who or what's on the other side to protect nearby civilians.
You end up seeing rubber flying out. In reality, would be projectile and frag going into someone's house.
We give these guys the tools and the techniques that they need to go through, conduct that breacher's assessment, and not necessarily go up and put a ton of charges on the door and blow it up. Anybody can do that. It's definitely an art, and their life can depend on if that door opens or not.
Same time, cadre always keeps on reminding us, not to get complacent. We're dealing with explosives, still dealing with live fire, and we're just trying to keep our head straight and make sure we get out of here safely.
After a week of practice, it's do or die. The men are briefed on their final breaching exam.
It's going to be a no-look situation, so you won't be able to see the door that you're breaching. You guys aren't going to know what you're coming up to, so it's your job to determine what type of tool to be used and to use it correctly. You guys understand?
The first squad prepares an assortment of breaching tools. Just as in combat, they have no idea what they're about to confront. They have to break through all the barriers safely and hit the finish line in under 16 minutes. Speed is critical, but one safety violation here, and you could fail the entire course after 8 weeks of hell.
Set. Begin.
After a 1,000-yard run, they hit the first door.
First door, first breacher. Let's go.
Go.
Candidate Mario Benalis is first in. Benalis assesses the door and goes for a ram breach. Fast and effective.
Next door, next breacher. Move back. Metal door, outward swinging.
David Porter is up next. His door is more complicated, but he knows immediately what to use. A crowbar does the trick.
All right, let's go, man. Move to Sergeant Tyler.
Soon the doors get more challenging.
Shot.
The next door is metal with a beefy lock. Candidate Marcus Rogers moves in with a hydraulic ram, a powerful tool that's also virtually silent.
Go. Up and over.
As stress mounts, the targets get still tougher.
Here's your first 3 rounds. Place them into carry configuration.
Time to bust out the ballistic shotgun, used when padlocks are present and speed is critical.
All right, move with me. Hey, get this equipment up there. Hurry up, Emerson! All right, listen up, man. You've got 30 seconds to complete 3 shots.
A combination of steel bars and metal sheeting requires multiple tools and teamwork. Porter cuts with a thermal torch, while his teammate hits the rebar with a power saw.
The Broco torch, it's magnesium rods that burn up to 10,000 degrees, and it burns through steel just like butter.
Oh, your rod's down. Let's go.
One final door to bust through with explosives, and there's less than 3 minutes on the clock.
All right, go ahead and place your charge. Three, two, one.
Finally, it's a mad dash to the finish line.
$15.07 with penalties.
Porter and Benales' squad finishes just in time. For them, 7 weeks of relentless training and testing is over. Very soon, they'll learn if their dreams of becoming Rangers will come true or not. Week 8. It's time to find out who proved themselves special operations worthy.
We're very careful about who it is that we select to come into this organization. These guys go through a very rigorous process to make sure that they are everything we need them to be.
Over the last 4 days, candidates on the bubble faced a hearing by a review board to decide their fate. In all, 23 soldiers did not get selected. Today, 91 of the original 114 who started RASP now stand at graduation. Finally, the moment comes they've all worked so hard for. They put on the 75th Ranger Regiment's coveted tan berets and officially enter the Select Brotherhood of U.S. Special Operations. After 2 attempts, Private Mario Benales is now a proud member of the elite 75th Ranger Regiment.
The biggest accomplishment I've done, just for the simple matter that it's not an issue of money, it's not an issue of, fame. It's the meaning behind it is so special, and it's just the sense of purpose. I feel great. I feel great being here.
Specialist David Porter is called to the front of the formation.
The honor graduate for the class is the Ranger whose overall performance was the highest during the course. For his sound judgment, technical competence, and high level of achievement, this award goes to Specialist David Porter.
Porter's designation as honor graduate is the highest honor given at graduation.
Don't give up. Just never give up. It sounds cliche and you hear it all the time, but really, at the end of the day, that's really what it is. I mean, you have lots of choices, lots of times throughout every day of the whole RASP program to give up, and every time you do, if you do, it starts beating you down. So if you just have that not quit mentality, you're going to do fine.